I normally run a yoga class on Fridays, run by Joe's Hope for people with cancer. Obviously with the current situation, those people are in the high risk category, so are having to stay at home for 12 weeks minimum. I know how much the classes mean to people in terms of just allowing them to relax and stretch and just do some gentle exercise. And a few have requested that perhaps I could just do a couple of practices that I can email to them. So I thought just today I'll just start by just doing a very short practice so you can get an idea of what we do in class. I get lots of requests to come to the classes. They are for people who have been diagnosed with cancer, people undergoing cancer treatment, and those who have finished their treatment. So anyone who has had a cancer diagnosis can come along to the class. My only caveat is that if people are worried at all, or it's probably just a good idea to talk to their physician to make sure that it's okay for them to start some gentle exercise. But I do find that doctors tend more and more to refer people to yoga classes. We do have Macmillan send us people, and other organisations in Milton Keynes refer people to the classes. I'm the kind of teacher who I don't like people to ever do anything they're uncomfortable with. Not everything is for everyone. And with cancer patients, perhaps even more so, depending on surgery, recovery, treatment that's ongoing. So if people want to come along to the class and just join in and work to their level, I am absolutely happy with that and have no problem. If someone is feeling particularly tired, perhaps the chemo is beginning to just tell its toll, then if people want to just lay down on the mat, focus on their breath and listen to the music, that is absolutely fine. So there are no expectations, no judgment and no competition, and that should be in all yoga, not just my classes. I suppose the thing I would say before we start the practice is always listen to your body. If you start to feel pain, which you should never feel in yoga, it's probably because you're pushing yourself too much. If you push yourself too much, the muscles freeze, and that's when you're likely to be injured. So listen to your body, really tune into your body, and just work to your comfort level. So we always start our yoga practice with a transition where we move from the focus being in our heads, of thinking of what we've got to do, what's been going on this morning, what's going to be going on later, what happened last year, what's going to happen next year. In our yoga practice, we try to make it particularly mindful, where we focus on the present moment. And that means transitioning from your head down into focusing on the sensations in your body. So we always start the practice with just a little bit of mindfulness or meditation. So let's just get comfortable in a seated position. That may be on a chair, maybe down on the mat, maybe with your legs out, just whatever position is comfortable for you. I often use a meditation cushion. Just by perching on that, you can actually get the hips down lower, and it just is less strain on the hips. If you don't have a meditation cushion, you can just use a rolled up blanket, perhaps a doubled cushion, but just try that with the hips lifted. So we're going to start by taking our hands down onto our knees. You can keep the palms face down if that feels comfortable, or otherwise turn the hands over so the palms are facing up, and just touch the thumb and index finger together. Bring the hands back down onto the knees. And we're just going to start to settle. So perhaps start by just gently closing the eyes if that feels comfortable. If it doesn't, you can always find a spot in front of you and just focus your gaze softly on that spot. But if you can close your eyes, it just helps you with that inward transition. So just making sure the spine is nice and long. So feel as if someone is pulling you up by a cord, so your hips are coming forward, back is straightening, shoulders relaxing, shoulder blades sliding down the back, chin parallel with the floor, and then just taking your attention to your breath. Just notice the breath coming into the body and leaving the body. So feeling that elevation with the inhalation and just that letting go with the exhalation. Just feel yourself just grounding down into the earth, feeling nice and supported, nice and anchored. We're breathing in and out through the nostrils if that's comfortable for you. Relaxing the muscles in the face, just making the face feel nice and soft. Checking in on the spine every now and again, that the spine is nice and long. I want you to take a really big breath in. And release, so fully emptying the lungs. I'm going to do that twice more. Nice big inhalation. And exhalation. So just feel that lifting on the inhalation and just that letting go on the exhalation. Now just go back to your normal breath. And I want you to just do a quick body scan. So just notice how your body's feeling. We're really tuning into the sensations, just the feelings. Can you feel any tightness or tension? Can you feel any pain? Anything that feels too uncomfortable? And if that's the case, perhaps you need just to move a little bit to make yourself more comfortable. And now taking the attention back to the breath. We're starting to breathe a little bit deeper now. And again, just feeling the lifting, the elevation on the inhalation, and just that letting go on the exhalation. And really feeling yourself coming to stillness as you start to transition and you start to relax. And I want you to take the hands onto the belly. And with the next inhalation, I want you to balloon the belly out. Exhalation, pull the belly button back in towards the spine. And just keep this going with your breath. The inhalation, just as if you're blowing up a balloon. And the exhalation, pulling the belly button back into the spine. Nice steady breath. So breathing right down into the belly. And breathing isn't something we pay much attention to. It's something we do all the time, but we just don't pay much attention to it. So this kind of breathing is a conscious breathing in yoga called pranayama. And this is where we start to use the breath, perhaps to help the flow of lymph around the body, and also as a signal to the nervous system. That sometimes when we're quite anxious, we breathe really shallow breathing up into our chest. And by breathing down into our belly, we can actually bring this calming, peaceful feeling where we are just making the nervous system nice and calm. So this is always a nice one to do if you're feeling quite anxious. Just do some of this deep breathing down into the belly. And just taking a few more breaths, nice deep breaths. And with each exhalation, just feel that letting go. Just sinking down. And with the inhalation, that nice nourishing breath. And now taking the hands onto the knees. And I think Benji is going to join in. Hopefully he's not going to be too noisy. So taking the hands onto the knees, again making sure the spine is nice and long. I'm going to take a big inhalation, and with the exhalation drop the chin to the chest. And I want you just to take a couple of breaths here as you notice what's happening in the back of the neck. Inhalation, lifting the nose up towards the ceiling, and with the exhalation dropping the chin to the chest again. We'll do that twice more. Inhalation, nice steady movement, nose towards the ceiling, and with the exhalation dropping the chin to the chest. One more time. And then coming back to centre. This time we're going to take the hand down onto the mat beside us, so just the fingertips. And then we're going to bring the opposite ear down onto the shoulder, towards the shoulder. We don't want to lift the shoulder up towards the ear. Bring the ear down to the shoulder, keeping the chest open, and just feeling that nice stretch in the side of the neck. We've often got a lot of tightness in our necks from sitting, driving, sitting at a desk. These areas we don't open out, it's not a natural thing we do, so it's always good just to open out these areas. Inhalation coming back to centre, and we'll do that on the opposite side. So just bringing the ear down towards the shoulder, feeling the stretch down the side of the neck. And then coming back to centre. Again, checking the spine is nice and long. Bringing the hips forward a little bit if you can feel yourself slumping, which is an easy thing to do, and that's why just perching on something helps. I'm going to take a big inhalation and then sweep the arms up towards the ceiling as we look up at the hands. Turning the palms outward, and with the exhalation bringing the arms down nice and strong. So just work this with your breath. An inhalation, lifting the arms nice and strong, and with the exhalation turning the palms, nice big circle. So for anyone who's finding that this is too uncomfortable, just lift the arms to your comfort level. Might be here, might be a little bit higher, or it might just be barely off of the mat. But just keep the breath going and just work to your level. And bringing the hands back onto the knees. So movement like this is moving the lymph fluid around the body, just helping to move the lymph fluid. Lymph doesn't have a pump like a heart pumping the blood around the body, so to move the lymph fluid around the body takes movement. And I always say any movement is better than no movement, but just some of these really gentle exercises are very effective. So don't be fooled by thinking that they look really simple and it's too easy really to be doing you any good, because that's not the case. Okay, so next we're going to take a big inhalation and lift the arms up overhead. And with the exhalation we're going to turn to the side, bring the arms down and look over the shoulder. Inhalation coming back to centre. Exhalation, bringing the arms down to the side as we twist from the waist. So nice steady breath. And this time we're going to bring the hands back down. Taking the fingers together, so interlinking the fingers, we're going to push the arms away, round the back and look down at the feet. Inhalation, lifting up. Exhalation, releasing down. So again, interlinking the fingers, big inhalation. Exhalation, pushing the hands away. Inhalation, lifting up overhead. And bringing the hands down to our sides. So now we're just going to come on to all fours and just do a couple of postures down on the mat. So bringing the hands down in front of you, coming over onto all fours. We're going to do some of our cat-cow stretches. We want the wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips, tops of the feet pushing into the mat, fingers spread and the middle finger pointing forward. So making a nice steady foundation, we're not collapsing through the arms, so nice and strong. And then with an inhalation we're going to lift the tailbone, drop the belly, lift the heart space as we look forward. Exhalation, tucking the tailbone under, pulling the belly button in, hands into the mat as we look through the knees. Inhalation, lifting the tailbone, lifting the heart, and exhalation, rounding the back, tucking the tailbone under, pushing the hands into the mat. Inhalation, reversing that. So again, just keep that going with your own breath. So making it a really nice flowing movement. Nice gentle movement. So really integrating mind, body and breath. And we can use these types of postures and these movements as a moving meditation. So really focusing on syncing the breath and the movement. So you don't know perhaps whether the breath is initiating the movement or the movement is initiating the breath. But just keep that nice flowing movement and perhaps try to slow it down a little bit. So a mindful, really mindful movement. And when I'm doing these kind of postures, I like to close my eyes because that helps you take the focus inwards. So perhaps just try closing the eyes and really focusing on what you can feel in your body as you move. Perhaps the sensations, perhaps any tightness, perhaps it just feels good to move those muscles. Anytime you need to take a rest, stop and just take a couple of breaths and just pick the practice up when you're ready. Okay, so we'll come back to our flat back position. And we're now going to drop into child's pose, and this is a really good resting position, a nice nurturing position. So we're going to take the knees mat width apart, big toes together, and then we're going to bring our sitting bones down onto the heels as we walk the hands forward. We sink down towards the mat. Now for some people that's going to be quite difficult. Perhaps you can't get your head down to the mat. So you could always perhaps just make something to just put the head on. I've just got a block and a blanket here. That might help. The other thing, for some people that's quite difficult to get down onto the heels. So again, you can always use your blanket. You can roll the blanket up, perhaps put it between your heels and your bottom, and again then just come down. So just breathing into the back of the body. So as you inhale, feel the back ribs expanding, and as you exhale, just feel that contracting as you melt the heart down towards the mat. If it's uncomfortable with the arms stretched out in front of you, you can always bring the arms in. You can always take them down to the sides of the body. So just play around with what's comfortable for you. There's no way that there's any posture that you have to squash yourself into for it to be right. It's how it feels, it's not how it looks. We've all got different bodies, we're all made up in different ways. There are some things that my students will do look better than I do doing, because just the way perhaps that I'm made, when bone hits bone, you're not going to move it anymore. And that's just the way it is. So don't worry about what it looks like, just think about what it feels like, and just really take that focus inwards. So we're going to push back up into our tabletop position, so back onto all fours. Again, making sure the wrists are under the shoulders, knees are under the hips, top of the feet pushing into the mat. And then with an inhalation, we're going to push the right leg away. And with an exhalation, we're going to bring the knee to the nose as we round the back. Inhalation, kick the leg away as we look forward. Exhalation, round the back. Knee to nose. So again, just keep that going with your breath. Really mindful of the movement. Taking a rest whenever you need to. And we'll make this the last one. Bringing the knee down to the mat. You might want to just curl the toes under, tip back onto the feet. So you can just give the toes a little bit of a stretch. And perhaps just circle the wrists if the wrists are getting a little bit tender. This is not a position that is natural for us to do. It's one we do a lot in yoga, but you have to build up the strength and flexibility in the wrists gradually. So just circle those wrists. Just a nice little wiggle on the toes. And then coming back down onto all fours. And we're going to do the same on the other side. So with an inhalation, pushing that leg away. With an exhalation, bringing the knee to the nose. Inhalation, pushing away. So again, just work into your level. If this is too much of a challenge, you can always go back to our cat-cow stretches. Or you can come down into child's pose and take a rest. one. And bring the knee down to the mat. Again, coming back onto the toes. Just giving the wrists a turn. Nice stretch for the wrists. Just going to do one more posture before I finish this short sequence. And this is one I particularly love, but I'm sure I look ridiculous doing it, so bear with me. I can't see you, but you can obviously see me, but we'll have a go. So we're going to come back onto all fours. And instead of doing our just plain cat-cow stretches, we're going to stretch according to what our body feels it needs at the moment. So it might be that you just continue with the cat-cow stretches, or it might be that you just do some organic movement. So perhaps just moving the hips around, perhaps coming forward onto the hands, perhaps coming back onto the heels, nodding the head yes and no. And it's really good just to close the eyes and just focus on this movement. So really take your attention to your body, perhaps the parts that they need, you feel that you need to stretch. So what feels good for you to do at the moment? And remember, nobody's looking, so just move however works for you. And as I say, this is one I particularly like, but I'm sure it looks a little bit ridiculous sometimes. If anyone was looking from my garden into my window, wouldn't be too good. Just a little bit more movement. And then we'll come back to our tabletop position. And then come up to a seated position. So just however feels comfortable for you. I'm hoping you're feeling a little bit more relaxed now. So making a nice straight spine as we did when we started off. Just feel as if someone is pulling you up by a cord. Shoulders relaxed. And with an inhalation, lifting the arms up overhead, stretching up, looking at the hands. With an exhalation, floating the hands down and just remembering to work to your level, your comfort level. Another one, a big inhalation. And with the exhalation, bringing the hands down. Last time, big inhalation, stretching up, bringing the hands into prayer position, bringing them down to heart center. Bringing the thumbs into the sternum, pushing the palms together, and we'll take a bow and namaste. So I hope you enjoyed that short practice, and that gives you just a little bit of an idea of the kind of classes that we run. If anybody is interested in joining us once we're allowed back out to play, please contact me at Healing Om Yoga or through Joe's Hope. The classes are free, they are financed by Joe's Hope. And as I say, we get people from Macmillan, we've had people referred from the hospital and from doctors, and it would be great to see you. Okay, so thanks very much. Have a lovely day, everyone.